All aboard for Orchard Park. Laser tag and a change at the top for Kodak.
Those are the headlines this very week and decades past. Here's News 8 Now's Dave McKinley with News 8 Then.
10 years ago this week, when deep frying turkeys was a relatively new phenomenon, the cigar craze was also picking up steam among the ladies. These are pictures of Rochester's first cigar smoker. Another new trend reflected here as well, as America Online took on its first 100 volunteers to answer not letters, but emails to Santa. And speaking of new things, the Bills Express began service across upstate New York to Orchard Park. No longer operational, this Amtrak excursion train for football fans did run for 9 seasons, though, after it began this week in 1996. 20 years ago this week, as crews prepared to pour the surface for the new Genesee Valley Park ice rink, the U of R announced it was naming its new business school after this man, former Treasury Secretary William Simon. There was a rush to buy a multi-disc collection from Bruce Springsteen, which would soon bring the term box set into the American vernacular. Playing Scruples was still a popular thing to do on a cold night, and laser tag was among the most sought-after toys of the holiday shopping season this week in 1986. 30 years ago this week, Santa was getting a lot of requests for this hot new toy from Kenner Pop Quiz. Do you recall who this is? Meanwhile, there was more manly shopping to be done at the Burns-O-Matic factory sale, where one could get their hands on some of those Rochester-made propane torches. Gerald Zornow announced he'd be stepping down as chairman of the board at Kodak, and that Walter Fallon would be replacing him, back when 390 was still called Route 47 and didn't go any farther north than Ridge Road this week in 1976. 40 years ago this week, and over a markedly different downtown skyline, December dawned amid a cold snap, cold enough to keep the Channel 8 mobile studio from starting up and frustrating the heartiest of Humboldt Street heroes. A good thing we had something new to enjoy in the form of a brand new set of tennis courts opened under a dome, erected by the Rochester Tennis Club.
It's outstanding. It's the only one of its kind in this part of the country, north of Poughkeepsie, New York.
And there was nothing quite like starting off the holidays with a trip to the Department of Motor Vehicles, then located in the Civic Center garage. Now, we have made many a societal advancement since this week in 1966, but I ask you, outside of some cosmetic improvements, is a day at the DMV that much different than it was in the days of News 8 Then?
This is News 8 Now. Now, for the pop quiz, do you remember the hot new toy Santa was getting a lot of requests for 30 years ago this week?
Yep, it's Stretch Armstrong, introduced by Kenner Toys in 1976. By the way, a mint-condition Stretch Armstrong can fetch up to $150 from collectors today.
Whoa.
So fetch and stretch.